Hi there, and welcome to the Leaky Bucket podcast. This is the financial performance podcast for entrepreneurs looking to get a better understanding of their numbers, plug the leaks in their business, and then move from surviving to thriving. I'm your host, Ian Morgan, and we're powered by MBS Accountants.
Hey listeners, so coming up today on this episode 10 of the Leaky Bucket podcast, what we have for you is part 2 of the effective strategic and financial planning. And this is all about the financial planning element. Today, I'm going to talk you through the 8 steps to creating the company budget and financial plan. The importance of your own mindset, which I talked you through in full detail back in episode 2, and how much your personal circumstances and goals affect the business financials. There's an important message as well from none other than Keith Cunningham, which is going to ring through in today's process. And what he said was that a 5 to 10% decrease in expenses can and often will increase profits by 20 to 50%. A 5 to 10% decrease in expenses to increase profits by 20 to 50%. That's huge, right? That's not something just to be sniffed at. I'm pretty sure that most of you here today can find that 5 to 10%. And if you can, then you're really going to get rewarded in terms of the additional profits that you can find within your business. So first things first, I want to address the elephant in the room. I'm British. Essentially, most of the time we're going out to a British audience. And it is traditional that we don't talk about money. It's just not the done thing. It's not what us Brits do. But today I'm going to start by breaking down that barrier. This way of not talking about money is continually holding us back. We need to get comfortable with it. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go and shout your personal financial circumstances from the rooftops or post it all over social media, but you just need to get comfortable knowing about it and talking about it. You need to create a connection with money for it to be real. And if you don't talk about it to anybody, then you can carry on pretending that it isn't. And that's dangerous. Because last time I checked, money is pretty damn real. I'm going to talk to you as well about hitting your surviving and thriving income. And I want you to be able to be honest with yourself about not only what those numbers are, but how close in reality you actually are to them. So, an abundance mindset. So before we go into the 8 steps of how to create a financial plan, I need to talk to you about mindset. And more importantly, about an abundance mindset. Now, I already went through some strategic planning with you on last week's episode. We're now going to move things forward into the actual monetary side of things. And as people, as soon as money gets talked about, that normally sort of invokes a response and a trigger from us to go, whoa, yeah, that's personal, guys. And the fact you want me to talk about it, yeah, that's scary. We need to break down that. We need to stop living in this world of fear. Because if we're going to create a financial plan built off fear, it's probably not going to be the best financial plan. So I want to point out something first. There is lots of everything in this world if you just believe it. You see, we don't see the world as it is, but rather as we see it. If people are telling you that you're too expensive and that you let that be the reflection of you, then let me just ask you something. How many of you watching or listening today have got an iPhone or a Samsung or some other smartphone that would have cost you close to or maybe over £1,000? You may well be paying for it, with a monthly airtime subscription or, tariff or something along those lines. But realistically, that phone, if you went to one of the company that sells them, you're going to be paying close to or over £1,000. Now, I can pretty much guarantee that for the majority of you, you don't need it. Now, you might tell yourself that you do, but you don't. That's the story that you tell yourself to justify why you bought it. Now, there's many people out there, mind, who have made that decision. They have bought it and they've convinced themselves that they needed to buy it, but they couldn't afford it. But that didn't mean that they didn't buy it. Now, it's easy to be affected by those conditions around us. If we aren't officially already, then we're pretty close to an official recession. And when it gets very close, or it does happen, then that news will spread. And generally, as news agencies will do, it will be doom and gloom. If you allow yourself to believe it. You see, if you decide that there is now no money in the world, then the budget that you create will reflect that. Now, I'm not saying that your business will not be affected if there was a recession. It may well be. What I'm saying is, though, that if you just allow a recession to happen and you just simply stand by and let it happen to you, then you're just going to be a victim. So you need to choose to make a decision, to do something about it, and decide maybe that the only way that a recession actually truly ends is when people spend money. And you have an opportunity here to maybe be part of that ending by believing that there is enough money to go around, and that by taking the necessary actions, that means people do actually spend money. By providing maybe clear communication of your value and what you can do for that potential customer or client. So I don't want you to be here listening today because you should do a budget, but rather that you must do a budget. You see, it's the decisions, not the conditions, that change our lives. Everyone is experiencing the conditions of today. Everybody has experienced the COVID situation. Everybody's experienced this element of, are we in a recession or are we not? But your decision to do something about it by planning strategically and financially is what will change your life. You see, we're always making 3 decisions. And today is no different. And those 3 decisions that we're always making are, number 1, what should I focus on? Number 2, what does it mean? And number 3, what am I going to do about it? Okay, so let's just recap, yeah? 1, what should I focus on? 2, what does it mean? And 3, what am I going to do about it? Remember those, make a note of them, and just keep those in the back of your mind as you go through the process that I'm going to teach you today. So, on to the 8 steps of a clear budget and financial plan. Step 1, understanding the point of a budget. So, in my view, a business is a tool to help you reach your personal targets. Now, most of the businesses that we talk to have developed themselves or grown themselves probably to at least to £150,000 worth of revenue, maybe even £250,000 of revenue. And if you've got yourself to that level where you've got other people involved, then the chances are what you've managed to do in your mind is separate business money from personal money. In order to make that leap from being just a one-man band, that was a clear distinction that you had to make, and probably was good advice that you got from people around you, accountants maybe, business advisors, business coaches. However, what got you to that level to move from being, it was like an employment, but you had a little bit of control, to being to that next level by being a business owner and separating the money, the business money and the personal money. That, however, created a danger that nearly all of us fall into. We massively overspend in our businesses and we don't have enough money to pay ourselves. Just let that sink in. We don't pay ourselves from our business anything or enough of what we deserve because we massively overspent. Now, often we've overspent on things that we regard as cool business expenses, but they actually, if you really looked at it, have they actually added any value to the customers, to the team, to you? Sometimes it's the complete flip. You've taken so much money out of the business that your business is massively underfunded. You possibly can't even pay the upcoming tax bill, the VAT, the suppliers, the staff. And it's easy to blame business performance. But actually, without a plan of when and how you would spend the money that's within the business, what did you expect? You see, this is where a budget comes in. The word budget often invokes fear. We hear about it through the government and creating and setting the budget, and it's bad news and it's doom and gloom. We hear about it from in terms of, oh, you must spend the budget before the financial year's up. It's all just negative connotations. Or the budget restricts how much we can spend. Oh, yeah, but I can't do that. It's outside of my budget. Right? But it doesn't have to be that way. All a budget is and what it means is a plan of when and how you will spend money in your business to ensure the business can grow and you can still get paid. The other reason we do a budget is to map out that growth. So think of a business like this, right? You're stood on an escalator. You know, the moving stairs. But you're facing the wrong way. The escalator's going down, you're facing up. Now, if you stand still, you're just going to go backwards. You need to be able to map a clear way forward that creates a sudden shift of momentum so that you overcome that general backwards propelling that's going on. It's going to take an effort. If you do it half-heartedly, then you won't actually move anywhere. You'll just be staying still. And today, it's going to take the same. It won't be easy. If it is, then either you've done this before and you've really got it nailed and you've got it right, and you're really great at it, or you aren't taking the time to think deeply enough and challenge yourself. The concept of budgeting is easy, and it gets overlooked because it is that. We think we can take shortcuts in life. Often we can't. The people who really hit the high performing levels, they did the basics consistently well. And today, financial planning and budgeting is one of the basics that people cut corners on. We're not going to cut the corners. So I've got a great method that will take away some of the pain. But if you're sat here thinking this is going to take some more thought, you're likely correct. it is going to take some real deep thinking. So step 2, we've got to get personal. I already said to you that a business is a tool in order for you to lead the life that you want. And yes, you may have this underarching goal that you want to change customers' lives, or you've got this passion that you really want to achieve. But ultimately, the reason that you're here and the reason that you're running a business is to make money whilst you're not having to spend every single possible hour doing it. The truth is, that's why you started your business. But how many of us have forgotten this? How many of us have ended up not being able to pay ourselves? Or ended up working so many hours that we don't have time to do the things that we enjoy? And we just get around it by going, yeah, but I enjoy business. I enjoy working on my business. But not all the time. And this is a big thing about how we operate. What are you actually trying to achieve as a person? You likely started this business to change your life, but to change your life for the better, not so you were underpaid and overworked. So the first little bit of work that you need to be able to do is to set aside a few minutes and just write down what you really want for you. The hours that you want to work, the time off and holidays that you want, the places that you want to go and see, the things that you'd love to be able to afford. And then what we're going to do is we're going to accelerate that forward and look at a second set of workings based off that. And it's outside the business that we're starting. And I know that's alien. I know that's not how normally a budget's done. But we're not here today to do something that is how it's normally done. I'm trying to get results. Now, don't worry, I'm not gonna ask you guys to come on to various social media platforms and share any personal earning targets or anything, right? It's personal and it's for you, but you need to get real and comfortable with talking about your personal targets, even if that's writing them down, talking about them to your loved ones and your close ones. But you've got to be honest with yourself. There's also a chance that the first time you do this, you won't get it 100% correct. Maybe at the first pass, you don't know or don't have all the info available, but that's okay. We are not looking for perfection. If you try and make it perfect, you'll fall short and you'll want to cut corners. You're going to do pass 1 and get it roughly where you want it to be. And then you may have to do some other passes to improve it and get a real solid financial plan. And yes, it takes work. The concept is easy, the effort is not. So the first work then, or the second work actually, sorry, because we've got the first work of the understanding of what you want to achieve. The second real work though, is your personal household costs. Now, if you look in the show notes, there'll be a link into where you can actually go and download a template for this. But I want you to work through understanding your personal household costs, because we're going to use this to understand what income you need in order to survive and what income you need in order to thrive. And it's personal and individual to each and every one of us. So step 3, this is all about the business now. Business income. Now again, we've got a template and it's in the show notes. So you'll be able to grab that and you'll be able to work on it. But there's a little bit of guidance first of all. And there's those of you who have got repeating income models for your business, this task is just that little bit easier for you guys. Those without, where you don't know your customers at the start of the month and you need to go out and find them and bring them in, this is a little bit more challenging. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with your income and we're then going to work everything else out off the back of that. So if you've got repeatable income, then what you need to do is start with your known repeatable income. Do you know, based on what you've got from last month, what you're likely now to repeat this month? And that's your baseline. And then what you're going to do is remove your normal churn. So if you normally lose 5% of those clients every month, then you need to account for that. That needs to go in the plan, because if you don't, you're going to miss your mark. Now you need to add in your growth from upgrades. Now, if you're not talking to your existing clients about how they can upgrade and buy more from you, that's a whole nother podcast episode, but it's key. It's far easier to win business from the people who already know, love, and want to work with you than it is to go out and find new customers. The other element is then, what growth are you going to get from new customers? Now, if you don't have that repeatable business model, then like I say, this is a bit more challenging. You need to start with a rough baseline. Now, there's going to be some seasonality maybe brought in here, but this needs to be something that you can achieve with ease, because you're going to work out everything from there. Now, you need to add in any reasonable growth you're likely to have because of the marketing activities that you could undertake. Don't go crazy. Don't get all like excited and go, oh, business sort of excitement. If you like business owner who thinks, yay, this is amazing, I can double the business every month. Like, be realistic. We're business owners. We think the impossible is possible, but just be reasonable. Set a stretch but achievable target. Now, step 4 is the cost of delivery. Now, I only put a few things into cost of delivery. These are specific, what it takes you to deliver the services, the product that you have. So there's only 3 areas that should go into this in my view. It's the products, it's the marketing, and it's the staff it takes to deliver what you do. That's it. Right? I know there's arguments you could put lots of other stuff in there, but in my view, these are the 3 things. Right? They're heavily linked to the sales that you have. If you sell more products, you need to buy more products. In order to sell, the chances are you need to do more marketing activity. In order to actually deliver, if you're a service-based business, in order to do more delivery of the stuff that you've sold, you need more delivery stuff. Now, it might not be you need the normal delivery stuff for every little item that you sell or every little service that you sell, but it might be at some point, if you continue to sell a certain number of them, eventually you'll run out of stuff and able to deliver them. Okay, this all needs to be considered against the income budget that you already created. Now at step 5, we're on to the overheads. You're going to consider the general running costs of your business. Now in an ideal situation, what you'd have now is your previous 3 months bank statements. And you're going to go through them with 3 colored highlighters. I recommend a green, a yellow, and a red. And you're going to classify each cost in your business into 3 categories. They are either essential, optional, or unnecessary / nice to have. That's it. That's the 3. Now, be as brutal as you can with this. However, nothing should make it into the unnecessary category that would affect the quality of the delivery of your services or products majorly, or cause you considerably not to live one of your business or your personal values. Don't use that as a get out mind, right? This is about improving, not about getting away with it. Just think back to that quote from Keith Cunningham. That 5 to 10% reduction in expenses could lead to a 20 to 50% improvement in profits. If you don't actually assess these and be critical, you're not going to find them. Because we all think we're running a super efficient business. The reality is somewhere different. Now, if you can't access the last 3 months bank statements, note it down as a suggestion. That's another pass that you're going to need to do. Then you need to work from memory. It's not ideal. You could even possibly go to your accounting records if you've got them online in like Xero, QuickBooks, anything like that. Then you can go and access them there. But this process is one of the most essential in building a budget. Okay, this is where the wins are made. And don't forget, this isn't about when things get paid. This is accrual accounting. You're going to use the payment triggers to figure out where things go. But actually, if you pay your insurance annually and in advance, then really it needs to be split over 12 months. Otherwise, you're just going to have 1 month's worth of insurance and then nothing for 12 months. We're not creating a cash flow forecast. We're creating a budget. At this stage in the overheads, do not include anything for your own pay. Right, next we're going to do a bit of a sanity check. What we've built is we've built your budget for your income. You've got your costs of delivery, and you've got your overheads, albeit split into those three categories: the essential side, the optional side, and the unnecessary. But now you should have a profit figure. And we're going to take that profit figure that you've currently got at the moment, and we're going to compare that back to your personal household budget, on which you should have your surviving income and your thriving income. Just note where you sit. Did you make your surviving income? Did you make your thriving income? Did you exceed altogether? Did you just fall well short? Just note it down. Be reflective, know what it means. Maybe note down what you're feeling. If you didn't hit your surviving income, is that a shock? Or is it just a reality check? Just note down how you're feeling at this moment and where you sit. Now, step 7 is the game changer. Like I say, none of these things are necessarily hard. The concept is easy. But the element of the process is challenging, because we don't want to do these basics. We don't probably want to know the answers, really. But if you don't know the gap you're trying to fill, you can't fill it up. You're either going to underfill or overfill. So let's really understand the gap. Step 7 is the game changer. It's the budget for thriving success. So we've mapped out where you are currently. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take some time to look through your optional and your unnecessary overheads. And this is where you can identify opportunities for where you can cut back, where you can find that 5 to 10% that may well just add that 20 to 50% to your profits and put money in your pocket. So what you're going to do, you're going to go through your optional and unnecessary overheads. Make sure you just haven't highlighted something and put it in these categories that's going to cause you a massive issue on the quality or speed that you can deliver at, and end up affecting the business in the long term. If you now have got these optional and unnecessary and you now remove them, you're happy that they're no longer required. And now what you're left with is a new way of reflecting your business performance. It's income, less delivery costs, less essential overheads, gives you profit. Now what do you look like? Have you moved from where you were before? Are you still not hitting surviving income? Have you moved from surviving to thriving? Have you gone from just below thriving to exceeding thriving? How do you now feel? And this nicely brings us into step 8. It's the reflection and the conclusion. Now remember, I pointed out back at the start that this wouldn't be 100% correct the first time. And hopefully what you highlighted from this task is that, to remember, your company is there to help you first survive and then thrive. It's good to separate business and personal money, but it's also expert thinking to be able to recognize that overspending in your business affects you and your financial position. So my top tips, right? Don't leave your budget as it is now. Put some time aside for next week to review this. You only need an hour, maybe 2. Note down what you didn't know today to make sure you've got all of that information ready so the next pass is an improvement on this one. We didn't aim for 100% and we may not hit 100%, but we want to make sure that next time we're making a big leap forward. And then once set, this budget shouldn't be locked away. The major power is in reviewing your performance against the budget. If you're new to this, then you may be out. But it's a learning process. Note where you're out and note why. And then look to improve it for next time. Get somebody to be accountable to you to stop overspending. You've put the tools in, you know your unnecessary and your optionals. Look for any trends and any methods within that to know where you've got a weakness. And then make a rule that you need to email that somebody for permission to spend. Don't call, email. And this is why it's important. You have to be able to explain to that person why spending this money adds value. And the rule is that this person needs to take some time before they respond. And that's why phone calls don't work. This isn't actually to get their permission. This is to slow down your thinking and stop making rash decisions in your business that cause the overspending that means that you don't have enough money to be able to pay yourself. This is about putting more money in your pocket. Now there's a breakthrough moment here. At the start of today's session, I said how you need to move yourself from I should do a budget and plan for financial success to I must do a budget and plan for financial success. But through today's process, we've possibly highlighted how your business isn't achieving for you. And one tool to change that is to review the optional and unnecessary overheads. And I've already given you that. But there's a second one. And that sometimes it's easy to look to do sales and discounts. That way, you just get busy. But if you go and give a discount, then actually you'll end up cutting your profits. A 10% discount when you make, let's say it's a £100 item and you make 30% profit and you give a 10% discount, £10. But that's actually £10 out of £30 profit. You've just cut your profit by a third. So a breakthrough happens in a moment. But the work to get there takes time. But what about the other way, right? What if you charge 10% more? If you went from £100 to £110, that's £10 of additional profit. You've gone from £30 to £40. That's a big increase in terms of the profit that you're making. Now, should you charge more? Or must you charge more? Just take this moment and absorb these statements. We must charge more, or I'm not going to be able to make payroll. We must charge more because my health is suffering. We must charge more because my marriage is struggling. Or we must charge more because I'm effectively earning minimum wage. And what's the point? Or we must charge more because I'm not seeing my kids until bedtime, because I'm working so late and I can't afford to hire any help. This needs to change, and it needs to change now. And I speak from experience. I've been all of these. Raising prices and charging more is scary. However, even more so is the life that you may well be putting up with and the pay that you're receiving for the conditions that you work in. Let this moment be the breakthrough. Take time and explore what a budget might look for you. If you were brave and put yourself first and you charge just that little bit more. And my final point is this. Abraham Lincoln said, discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want the most. And you need to take that with you, right? Because what's going to happen is you're going to leave here with all these great intentions of how this great budget is going to change your business. It's going to change your life. But then distractions are going to happen, right? That's the reality. We're business owners. There will be distractions. There'll be fires to put out. There'll be things to fix. There'll be great, more urgent tasks that need your attention right now. But remember, what is it? Is it what you want now? Or is it what you want the most? You need to schedule that time now into your diary and to get your budget nailed. If you think that's going to take 3 more passes, schedule in 3 more passes. Because if you don't schedule it in now, then those distractions will appear, the more urgent tasks will appear, and you won't make the improvements. And you'll have another excuse why you can't do it and why your business isn't working. So go away from today and be disciplined to do what you want the most.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Leaky Bucket Podcast. I'd love it if you could spread the message by clicking subscribe and leaving a review. And if you want to find out more, you can also fill out our online financial health check scorecard to see where all the holes might be hiding in your bucket. Just head over to mbsaccountants.scoreup.com and you can also find the link in the show notes below. See you next time.